Hey everybody, and welcome back to my channel. I hope you're all keeping well and have been enjoying the summer safely. Thank you all very much for the birthday wishes as well. They're very much appreciated. I was able to celebrate a little bit and I was able to buy some nice things for myself, all of which I'll mention a little bit during this video. And yeah, as per usual, this video is a recap of the things that I've been enjoying and finding interesting over the past month. There's a detailed blog post to go with it. There are links in the description. None of this is sponsored or gifted. All the usual introductory stuff applies basically. And yeah, I'm just going to crack straight on with it because there's lots to cover. So I hope you enjoy it. So in terms of celebrating my birthday, I was able to go out and meet a friend for the first time in 5.5 months. So it was quite a big deal in that respect, really. It was great to see him again. I mean, we had chatted online before, but it's great to see people in person where at all possible. So it's great to do that for the first time in a while. We had a nice meal together in a local Wetherspoons pub, taking advantage of the Eat Out to Help Out discount scheme that gives you half price on food. And yeah, we had a nice steak and chips dinner there and a nice chat and a catch up. Everything was perfectly safe with the hygiene and social distancing and everything, so that was good. And then I also used the tube as well to come home for the first time again in 5.5 months. Again, that was perfectly safe. There weren't many people about because it was a quiet time of the evening, so it was easy to stay away from people. I wore a face covering, of course. And yeah, it just all felt nice and safe and easy. It was nice to finally get out and about, and hopefully I can do more of that, meeting people over the coming weeks and months once more. I've also been out for a few local walks as well, which has been nice. Not as often as I wanted to because I got another bout of cellulitis from an insect bite in my foot again this year, which I had last year, much more severely last year. It's cleared up much more quickly with antibiotics and steroid cream this year. But it was still a nuisance, still put me out of action for a couple of weeks, but I have been getting out and about again, which is good. To try and keep it interesting, I'm using the Strava app on my phone to record my routes now. And there's a website called City Strides that will allow you to combine all of your Strava data together to give you one huge map showing you everywhere you've been. So I can then look at the map and see which streets I haven't done yet in my local area and try and complete as many as possible, do different ones on each walk and just gradually try and expand my map outwards and just cover different places. It just keeps things a bit varied and interesting, and it encourages me to walk a bit further before I come home. So I kind of look at my phone and think, oh, I could just tick off that street and that street just before I go home. It just encourages me just to walk that little bit further, which makes all the difference, I think. So that's great. Strava does have the ability to combine all your maps as well, but it doesn't do it for walks, unfortunately. It does it for runs and cycles, things like that. So I could kind of lie and say that my walks are runs, but I don't really want to do that. And City Strides is free. You can become a supporter there as well by paying a little bit extra. But yeah, it's working very well. So I'm going to keep going with that and see how that goes, basically. And then even though I don't think I have COVID and I haven't got any symptoms or anything like that, thankfully, there are still a few things in relation to the virus that I want to mention very quickly. And the first is the fact that I have actually just taken a COVID swab test at home, which may sound strange given that I don't think I have the virus, but I was randomly selected to give it a go from the list of people who have a GP. So I got a letter through the door inviting me to take part in the research study because they're testing as many people as possible. So I thought, well, okay, I'll do my bit, give it a go. I knew it wouldn't be very accessible when you're visually impaired. I knew it wouldn't be that easy, but I did my best with it. You basically have to swab the back of your throat and then your nostrils as well, pushing it a fair way up. So it feels a little bit uncomfortable, but it's nothing too bad. It's easy enough to follow the instructions. There's a clear instructions booklet in the packet, and there's a video online as well showing you how to do it. Whether I did it correctly, I have no idea. I probably didn't quite hit the right areas. I can't see in the mirror what I'm doing down my throat, and I don't know if I pushed it far enough up my nose, stuff like that. But I did my best, and we'll see what happens when I get the result back. If the result comes back in time when this post goes up, then I'll put it in the description and in the actual blog post that goes with this. But if not, I'll let you know next time. As I say, I don't think I've got it, so the test will either come back negative or it will just fail because I didn't do it right. But yeah, it was interesting to do. The most difficult part for me, really, actually, was putting the box together that you send it back in, because the diagram on the box for how to kind of fold it up is not very clear. So I ended up finding a video on YouTube to do that as well. But yeah, I got it done. It's gone. So we'll see what happens. If I really felt I had the virus and I wanted to test for it, I would much rather a qualified nurse or someone did it to me rather than me trying to do it myself to make sure there's an accurate result. But for a practice run, that was well worth a go. I think it gave me a sense of what the test is like, which is good, I think. Hopefully I'll never have to have it done properly, but you never know, do you, these days? You never know. And then because I live in the London Borough of Newham, as many of you will know if you followed me for a while, we've been selected as one of the test sites for the new NHS Test and Trace app, along with the Isle of Wight and various NHS volunteer workers all over the country. So I was really looking forward to trying that out. We've had our letter through the post with the codes to activate the app and give it a go and all clear instructions and everything. But it turns out I can't get it because I've got an iPhone 6. You have to have at least iOS 13.5 on Apple devices or version 6 of the Android operating system called Marshmallow, and the iPhone 6 can't be upgraded beyond iOS 12, so I can't get 13.5. The 6S and the 6S Plus and the SE can get it, but not the iPhone 6, which is unfortunate. So I can't try it out. I know there are other people in the area who can't do it either for the same reason from the comments I've seen on social media. So we just have to hope that enough people are able to run the app to make it worthwhile using it. And let's hope it works better than the last app did, because we know that didn't go very well. So fingers crossed it works, because if it does do as intended, then it is potentially a very useful weapon in our fight in dealing with the coronavirus and getting back to some kind of normal life. There is an app that I have been using though throughout lockdown to help with the research into the virus and how it's affecting people. And that is the COVID Symptom Study app, and this is run by King's College London and a health science group called Zoe and various other partners as well. And it's basically collecting data from over 4 million people now who have signed up to it, and I encourage you to as well. And basically each day you just open the app and answer a couple of questions. Are you feeling well? Have you had any COVID tests? And that's it. It's as simple as that. If you say you aren't feeling well, then they'll ask you a few more questions about what your symptoms are. And if you say you've had a test, then you can put in the details of that test. Every week, they'll also ask you, how often you've been out of the house and where you've been. Just again, a few simple questions. And then every so often they might chuck in one or two other questions as well. So it's just gathering data as they go. It's all confidential and everything, of course, and kept securely and things. It's just very helpful data to analyse the general health of the population and where the hotspots for COVID might be springing up and things like that. There's so much research going on because it's so important at the moment. So I do encourage you to get that app. I'll put the link in the description, obviously. And yeah, it's just really a simple case of just opening it for a minute each day and just answering a couple of questions, job done. It's as simple as that, but it's all contributing to this huge, very useful database. And then moving away from that, let's get on to other things. So next up, I want to talk about a few disability things that have caught my attention this month. And the most exciting one of those is the Rising Phoenix documentary on Netflix. This is an excellent documentary about the Paralympic Games, right from its origins with the Stoke Mandeville Games up to the success of London 2012 and the difficulties in organising Rio 2016 and everything else in between in the history of the Games. It's really interesting. They talk to Sir Philip Craven and Johnny Peacock and various Paralympians and other people who are involved in organising the events and things like that. It's really, really interesting. It's really stylishly filmed and well made, and it's great to hear the stories behind many different Paralympians. And there's also audio description as well, which is really well done. So everything about it is great. It's really absorbing. It's really interesting. So I do encourage you to give that a watch on Netflix. As I say, it's called Rising Phoenix. There's also an interview with RNIB Connect that I'll link to where they talk to the producer, so that'll tell you a bit more about it too. So do go and check out Rising Phoenix on Netflix, irrespective of whether you're disabled or not. It's really good. And then as for other forms of entertainment, the theatre and concert industries have had a particularly difficult time over recent months for obvious reasons. They've had to make lots of difficult decisions and cutbacks and things like that, which is perfectly understandable and appreciated, and all our sympathies and thoughts are with them for that. But there is a lot of concern among the disabled community that accessibility is going to suffer as a result, and it's going to end up right down the bottom of the priority list because of all the cutbacks and everything. So Shona Louise has written a great blog post talking to lots of different disabled people from across the spectrum about all the concerns they have. And there's a great article in NME magazine as well about concert goers and the issues that they face. So do go and give those articles a read, as well as the articles by Vocalise that I've posted before. I'll add them back into the description again as well, because they're interesting about visits to theatres and museums, things like that. We do hope that the theatre, concert industries and museums, things like that, won't forget about disabled people, because we are a huge market and we do want to get back to those venues and enjoy them along with everybody else. So it's just asking them to keep us in mind and not forget about us. Another hot topic at the moment is pavement parking, which is not only an issue for blind and visually impaired people, for whom it's very dangerous to have to go out into the road for obvious reasons to get around the cars, but it's also an issue for people in wheelchairs and parents with pushchairs and the elderly and so on and so forth. It's a nuisance and very dangerous for all of those groups. So if you have any strong feelings about pavement parking, then do respond to the government's new consultation on the issue to let them know your thoughts and feelings about it, and also sign the petition set up by Living Streets to have pavement parking outlawed and proper enforcement in place to try and protect against it. This is your chance to have your say, so please do so. And then also on the subject of transport, there was a study published recently about the experiences of visually impaired people on public transport in London. This is a study that took place before the pandemic, but has only just been published, and I know about this because I was one of the people consulted for it by Renner Lowe, who wrote the paper. So thank you to Renner for involving me in that project. I'm glad my feedback was useful to you. You can now see the paper online. You can just read the abstract if you wish, or you can pay to read the full paper, whatever you prefer. But yeah, I'm glad I could get involved with that and contribute to that research. And then finally, on the disability front, I was delighted to find that I was on 2 lists of bloggers that were being recommended this month. The first list was by a site called FeedSpot, who put together a list of 25 visually impaired bloggers and other related websites. So it was great to be on that list. And even more prestigiously, I was included on a list of disabled bloggers by BBC Ouch, which is a great honour. So thank you to the BBC for including me on that list. On both lists there are some very prestigious names, so I feel very flattered to be included in among them. And then moving on to online theatre, and I discovered this month that someone had posted the entire Madness musical, Our House, online. They just copied it off the DVD, so this link probably won't work forever. I expect there'll be a copyright strike that takes it down at some point, but I'm glad I caught it because I hadn't seen it before. And it's great, it's really funny, and there's lots of great music in there, of course, all of Madness's biggest hits and a couple of great news songs as well. And it's a good story too, it's about this young 16-year-old lad called Joe Casey from Camden in London, and on his 16th birthday, he's about to get into a wonderful relationship with this beautiful girl, and he makes a very risky decision to try and impress her, and it has quite bad consequences, basically, and from there his story diverges into 2. There are 2 possible paths he can take, and we see both of them. We see what happens on both of these paths, neither of which have great outcomes in one respect or another, and his deceased father tries to mentally persuade Joe to make the right choices as he goes along so he doesn't get in even more trouble. It's a very interesting story. There's very moving moments in there as well as the humour, and yeah, it's just very well put together. I think the songs by Madness have been integrated very nicely choreographed as well, and yeah, it's just good fun, as you would hope a Madness show would be, so I can recommend that. As I say, it was released on DVD originally. That's where this upload has come from. It's no longer available unless you buy it second hand, but if it does come out as a re-release one day, then I might buy it because it is quite good. So then moving on from that onto sci-fi drama, and I finally finished my Blu-ray box set of The X-Files, all 11 seasons, and the 2 movies that I'd bought separately on Blu-ray as well. I've really enjoyed watching all of those. Obviously the show is at its best in its earlier seasons, say the first 5 seasons. Then it kind of dips during seasons 8 and 9 when David Duchovny's got no real involvement as Mulder. He's there for about half of season 8 and only 1 episode at the end of season 9. So it's not the same without him. The new characters aren't as good. But even then, there are still some fun stories, and Gillian Anderson as Scully is always good. So there's still some interest there. Then you've got the event series for seasons 10 and 11 where Mulder does return properly, and they're quite good. They're not as great as the series in its heyday, but there's still some fun moments and some good plot twists. So yeah, it's been great to watch all the series and work my way through them all. There's such a variety of characters and storylines and monsters and action and humour and all sorts of bits and pieces going on. As I say, there are some bumps in the road along the way, but overall it's well worth working through it all. And the movies are all right as well. Again, not quite as great as the TV show, but still fun in their own way. It was great seeing Billy Connolly in the second movie, for instance. So yeah, it was great to go through all that, and all the extra features are interesting as well. I mean, the audio commentaries are a bit dull. I didn't listen to them, but I really enjoyed watching the documentaries and the special effects breakdowns and deleted scenes and gag reels, things like that. So there's loads of extras packed onto the discs. So yeah, if you're an X-Files fan, I can recommend the box set and the movies. It's well worth getting the collection. I also watched The Lone Gunman, which is a spin-off featuring that set of characters from the main series. This is available on YouTube. Someone has thankfully uploaded all the episodes. The first episode was 6 months before 9/11 and bears uncanny resemblances in some way to that event, which is quite spooky. It is just coincidence. There's no conspiracy behind it or anything like that. And yeah, the series is all right. It's not great, I don't think. There is some nice comedy in there, certainly, and the guys are very good, but it just doesn't quite feel the same as the main show. And there's the new character of Jimmy Bond, who is stupid to some kind of level of comic effect, but it just becomes irritating really after a little while. So I didn't get into that quite as much. I certainly wouldn't buy the DVD of it, but I'm glad I gave it a go because they are great characters in the main show. So it was nice to see their little spin-off just to see what it was like. I know there is another spin-off as well from the X-Files, again very different, called Millennium. That's not available online, but I've seen the description of it and it doesn't strike me as the kind of thing that would interest me, so I'm not bothered about seeing that. The X-Files is the main series. That's the best bit of the whole franchise, so I'm happy sticking with that. And then also on the sci-fi front, I bought the Steelbook Blu-ray edition of Doctor Who Series 6. This replaces the original Blu-ray edition I had. I'm upgrading to Steelbooks because they look very cool. I like the artwork on them, so I'm glad I've got that in my collection now. And then on the TV, there have been a few interesting retrospective programmes over the past month, looking back at classic series and talking to the people who are involved with them to find out more about how they were made and everything. So they've been quite good to watch. My favourite has been The Fast Show, definitely. This was called Just a Load of Blooming Catchphrases. This was a 2-hour documentary, and there was a half-hour extras programme as well called More Blooming Catchphrases with some additional material. And it was really, really interesting. They were talking to all the original surviving cast members and writers about how all the sketches and characters came together, how the show was formed in the first place, that kind of thing. And they're also talking to the characters themselves, giving views from their perspective, which was a nice touch, often quite amusing, those moments. And there are also plenty of clips from the original series, of course. There was also lovely tributes to Caroline Aherne in there as well, a member of the team who sadly passed away from cancer in her 50s 4 years ago. So it was really sad that she couldn't be there, but they did mark it very nicely, not only talking about her, but there was also a nice moment where the character of Roy, who was married to Caroline's character in the show, and basically just sitting there and looking at an empty sofa. So that was kind of very poignant and a very nice moment. So it was a really nice documentary about the Fast Show. And there was also a nice Q&A organised by the British Film Institute as well to coincide with the show online. And they spoke to most of the surviving cast members. Mark Williams couldn't be there, but they spoke to everyone else. And that was really interesting. There was, again, some nice insights into the Fast Show and also the making of this new documentary. And also potential glimpses into the future as well. There's kind of interest in doing a live show, and Charlie Higson and Paul Whitehouse are talking about perhaps doing something new with the team that isn't the Fast Show but might be something else. So it'll be interesting to see what we may or may not get from them in the future. So that was very interesting as well. If you enjoyed the documentaries on Gold, then it's worth checking out that BFI interview as well, because there's some nice little extra bits in there to go with the show. And then over on the Dave channel, there was a documentary about Red Dwarf called The First 3 Million Years. This was split into 3 parts, each an hour long over subsequent nights. They're narrated by David Tennant, which was a nice touch, and they interviewed all the original cast members and the co-creator Doug Naylor and various other people. So that was really nice. There were lots of classic clips, and it gave us a nice insight into the development of the show over the years. I mean, if you've got all the DVDs and seen all the documentaries and stuff like that on them, then there wasn't anything spectacularly new in there, admittedly. There were 1 or 2 nice little tidbits, but not a lot that I didn't already know, really. But it was still nice, it was still fun, it was still a good celebration of the show, and there's clearly a keen desire among them all to do more, so hopefully we'll get more. And then in addition to that, there was also a Comic-Con panel they did online this year to promote the release of their most recent special, The Promised Land, on BritBox, talking to cast members from the show along with Doug Naylor again. So that was really nice to listen to. Again, some interesting little tidbits in that. Nice bits of banter as well between everybody. So that's well worth a watch if you like the show. And while I was on Comic-Con's channel, I had a flick through, and I also watched their at-home panels talking to people involved with The Simpsons and Family Guy. They were both fun and very interesting as well, so I can recommend those too. And while I was there, I also found a WonderCon panel from 2019, which was done in person because they could back then, featuring the writers of The Big Bang Theory talking about the final season. So I thought I'd watch that as well, and that was good. So there are loads of different panels like that on the Comic-Con channel, so do go and check that out and see what shows you might want to watch panels for. And then the final retrospective was over on Channel 4, and this was Derren Brown looking back at 20 years on TV, doing his various different stunts and illusions, from the simple and the humorous up to the really elaborate and controversial and everything in between, his stage shows as well. It's really interesting, everything he does. It's quite freaky, a lot of what he does. It's quite scary, but it's really, really interesting. The way he kind of manipulates people to do all sorts of things is just incredible. So it was really interesting to watch that and hear about his insights into his work, and to have a little look around some of the collection of things he's got in his home as well. So I really enjoyed that too. And then I've also been watching some new comedy on TV as well. So Harry Hill has a new series on BBC Two called World of TV. This is a little bit similar to TV Burp in as much as he uses his observational humour to great effect to pull apart TV shows. The difference here is really that he's just sitting and kind of talking. He's not doing any big funny stunts or fights or anything like that. It's just him talking about the programme, showing lots of different clips and just putting them apart with his great observational humour, as I say. And each week he picks a different genre, be it medical dramas or soaps or whatever. So while it's not quite as good as TV Burp, perhaps it's still pretty funny, so it's well worth a watch. And it's great to see him back on the box doing something like that. And then also on BBC Two, there's a new sitcom called Mandy, which is written by Diane Morgan, and she stars in the title role as well. And basically every job that Mandy turns her hand to becomes a catastrophe, a complete disaster. So there's a lot of slapstick and silly humour in there. And it's good fun. They're only short 15-minute episodes. There's only 6 of them, so it's quite easy to whiz through them very quickly. It's nothing special, it's nothing amazing, but there are plenty of funny moments in there. And there are some good guest stars too, like Michael Spicer's in quite a few episodes. Sean Locke appears in one, Natalie Cassidy appears, David Bradley's in there. So there's a few quite big names in there. So yeah, it's well worth a watch. As I say, they're nice short episodes, nice and easy to get through. And then for QI, we're finally getting the extended XL editions of the R series episodes. This series started way back in the year, many months ago now it seems. And now they're finally getting around to showing the longer editions, which I always wait for because I enjoy them very much. So it's great to see that they've started, and I hope the BBC won't leave too many big gaps here and there to kind of spread them out too much. It'd be nice to see them in relatively quick succession. I know some of the episodes will be a bit unusual because they weren't able to have an audience for a few of them for obvious reasons, but I'm sure they'll still be very funny and interesting anyway. And the first episode, Rude, was very good anyway. So yeah, I'm glad QI is now back with its extended editions. I'm looking forward to watching those. And then 8 out of 10 Cats Does Countdown was back for a new series as well. Just 3 new episodes this series, just a short series, and a couple of best of episodes to pad it out as well. And these episodes were filmed before the pandemic hit. So there was one particularly prophetic moment in one of the episodes when John Richardson had a 6-letter word and said Corona. You know, they didn't know at all what would be happening in a few months' time. So yeah, that was quite a strange moment, but yeah, the episodes were great fun as usual. And then online, there are also new episodes from Who Said That, the panel show, and new sketches from Julie Nolke and Andrew Cossa, which are well worth watching. So check out their channels too, as usual. I've mentioned them many times before. And then during September, I'm looking forward to Michael McIntyre's new stand-up special on Netflix called Showman. This was filmed at the London Palladium in early March this year before lockdown hit, so we got that in just in time. So I'm looking forward to that. That should be very funny. And then Jonathan Ross's Comedy Club is coming very soon to ITV as well, where he features acts by a variety of different comedians. So that should be quite interesting depending on who he gets on there. I know Beck Hill's on there for a start. She's already filmed her slot for it and had a good time. I can always recommend her. So that should be quite interesting to have a look through. And then finally moving on to music as usual, and I'll start with a few online videos that have caught my attention. And the first is Out of My Hands from a new musical called Sleepless, which is performed by Kimberly Walsh. That's a very catchy song. There's a very uplifting song called Give Me Strength, which was performed by a group of young West End stars as part of a project from the Mousetrap Theatre. This was written last year, this song, but it's very appropriate for now, so it's great that they've recorded it and it sounds really nice. There's a nice little rhythmic performance by Stomp, which is only a minute long, but still well worth a listen. And it's a panoramic video as well, meaning you can turn the carousel with your mouse to see all the different performers. So that's quite cool. And then Samara Ginsberg has continued her lovely tradition of performing children's TV theme tunes on cellos. And this time she's done DuckTales, which sounds quite nice. It's a very classic tune and it's great to hear it in that form. And then moving on to bands, and the Rolling Stones have continued to plug the upcoming deluxe re-release of their album Goat's Head Soup, which has a few new unreleased tracks on there, one of which is called Scarlet, featuring Jimmy Page, and they've now released a remix of that track featuring The Killers, which is going to be on the digital edition of the album when it comes out. So that's actually quite a nice mix. That's quite enjoyable to listen to. And then The Who have been releasing some live performances from their archive on their channel for free, which is very generous of them. This is all part of their Join Together at Home series. I've got all these performances on DVD and Blu-ray anyway, so it doesn't really matter to me quite so much, but a lot of people won't have seen them before, and they're all great performances with classic hits and that kind of thing. And it's all in aid of a good cause, raising awareness and money for the Teenage Cancer Trust. So yeah, it's great that The Who are doing that. But there have been a couple of other favourite bands of mine that I've been focusing on for my birthday treats for myself. So firstly, I bought the Beatles Anthology, which is a big documentary series from 1995. I bought the box set of that on DVD because I hadn't actually seen that before. It's been one of the things that's been on my list to get for quite a while, along with the album series of, rare and unreleased tracks that goes with it, which I've also got now. But yeah, the documentary is really, really comprehensive and interesting. There are 8 episodes, about an hour and a quarter each. They're talking to all the Beatles members throughout. There's no narrator. The Beatles are talking about it themselves, taking you through their story, and loads of people who are connected with them as well, like George Martin. And there's loads of archive footage, and there's loads of performances as well, which are played in full, not just clips, but you actually get a load of full performances, which is a really nice touch. And yeah, it's just really interesting and comprehensive, and the music's great and everything. So I really enjoyed watching that. The new songs they made for the anthology, Free as a Bird and Real Love, are great as well. So yeah, it's a great set, that. And then at the same time, I also bought the Concert for George on Blu-ray, which is a tribute concert for George Harrison that was held on the first anniversary of his death in the Royal Albert Hall, organised by his widow and his son and arranged by Eric Clapton. You've also got people like Jeff Lynne and Billy Preston and Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers actors and so on and so forth. There was a lot of big talent in that show. The first part of the show is all about Indian music, because obviously that was a big part of George's life. That bit didn't interest me quite so much, so I'm quite happy to just skip that. No disrespect to the people who like it, it's just not my kind of thing. But then you've got a couple of songs from Monty Python, which is great, and then you've got the big main section of the concert with a lot of George's music, you know, My Sweet Lord, While My Guitar Gently Weeps. There's a Travelling Wilburys track in there and loads of other things. It's really, really good. It's really well performed. There's lots of big names performing in there. The concert is presented in two forms. In the set, you've got one disc with the concert in full, uncut. And then you've got the theatrical version of the concert where things have been rearranged a bit and there's interviews interspersed with it and stuff like that. So I much prefer the full concert, really. I think that's the better way of viewing it. But there's also some nice extras on the second disc as well. You know, you've got behind the scenes with Monty Python and other people. So yeah, I'm really glad I got that set. I'd never seen the concert before. I thought I'd give it a go because of all the big names and the songs involved. And I'm glad I did. It's brilliant. But then, of course, I also had to indulge my love of my favourite band of all time, Queen, of course. It's their 50th anniversary coming up very soon, and if you've been following my blog recently, you'll have seen I've posted a couple of huge reviews of their first two albums already, not just reviewing each track, but looking at alternate versions and the multi-tracks that make up each track, like vocals, pianos, guitars, etc., where that's available, and looking at live performances and cover versions and so on. I'm going into great detail because I love the band and I'm learning a lot by kind of exploring things in this level of detail. You know, a lot of it I already know, but I'm discovering lots of bits and pieces along the way that I hadn't been aware of before. So it's kind of great research for me. It's a great fun project, and I hope that it's fun and interesting for people who look through it as well. You know, you'll have to look through each post bit by bit, perhaps a song at a time or something like that, but I hope you do find it interesting if you dig through it, because I'm a big fan of Queen and I hope that these posts will show you why. So the next post will be about the Sheer Heart Attack album in mid-September, and then I'm already writing the Night at the Opera post as well. I'm getting ahead of myself to try and make sure there's a good buffer of posts. So yeah, that series is going to keep going and I hope you enjoy it. But I've also bought myself a few treats as well. Because I've already got their music, I decided to get some of their merchandise instead. So I got some nice things to wear. So I bought some nice t-shirts. I got one off Amazon, which has got the Made in Heaven album cover on it with Freddie's statue looking out over this scenic sea view. But then from the Queen store itself, I've also got the album cover for The Game, because it's the 40th anniversary of that album this year. So there's a black and white image of the band posing on there. There's also a nice blue t-shirt with the Queen crest in nice big gold print. So that's really lovely too. You know, that's got things like a phoenix and lions and fairies on it. It's a very nice crest. I do like their logo very much. There's also another t-shirt I've ordered that hasn't arrived yet, so I won't spoil anything by saying what that is. And then I've also got a Brian May Guitars face mask as well, which is quite fun. You know, it's just a black face mask with images of electric guitars all over it. So it feels like a much more personalised mask for me. It's much more interesting than a plain one. And it's reusable because you can wash it as well at 60 degrees, so it's nice and safe to reuse it too. So yeah, I'm really pleased I got that. That feels really nice, and the t-shirts fit really well too. But I've also done a pre-order as well for October, because towards the end of August it was announced that Queen and Adam Lambert were releasing their first ever live album. This is a compilation of some of their greatest live performances from recent tours. Adam Lambert's kind of grown on me over the years. I wasn't into him at first, but I think his performances have got better, and I've had more respect for the fact that he's not trying to be Freddie. So I'm really looking forward to getting that. I've ordered the bundle that's got the Blu-ray showing the videos of the songs and the CD and a t-shirt as well. So there's another t-shirt there. So I'm looking forward to receiving that in October, and I will of course do a review in my blog when the time comes. And if you want a preview of that release, then they've posted a performance of The Show Must Go On their YouTube channel, which is well worth a watch. So it looks like it's going to be really good when that comes out. And that, at long last, is it. A nice packed month as per usual. I hope you enjoyed that and found things that are of interest in there. The next post will be at the beginning of next month. Now I'm back into my series of doing monthly favourites again. It's much easier this way. In the meantime, don't forget that I'm also posting weekly sets of entries from my old journals way back. We're now up to 2003, and people have been enjoying them more than I thought they would. So I'm glad that's proven interesting. So they're coming out every Thursday as a Throwback Thursday post. And as I said earlier, I'm also doing my Queen reviews in the middle of every month as well. And who knows, there might be other things that pop up as well that I can post. So yeah, there's still plenty to check out in between videos. And yeah, thank you very much for watching that. Again, thank you very much for the birthday wishes during the month. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe as per usual. Please stay safe, and I hope you all keep well, and I will see you for another video very soon. Bye.